What's up, my beautiful people? Okay, y'all, so come with me on this series we're doing it's a two-part series on how to do a bomb super flat sew-in. Let's go. All right, so Miss Dion is getting a sew-in, and this is actually her first sew-in with me today. So what I wanted to do is walk you guys through the process of how I get my sew-ins super flat. I know sometimes we do like super small intricate braids, and I have a way around that. So stick with me. It's gonna bless you. It's gonna bless you. And just like I've done over the years, take some of the techniques that I use and add it to your own really good, sew-in method if you like, because this was someone else's method that I tailor-made to fit my desires. So I pray that something in here will bless you and help you out. Okay. So during the consultation, I found out that she wants to have some leave out. So that's what we're going to do first. We're going to get that hair separated out, braid it away, and then move on to the next step. Once I have the hair separated that I don't want to braid up, then I'll put the cream shine on there. I do not cream shine the entire head of hair, because the leave out, you don't want that super greasy. You want that hair to flow and move. But if you put it on everything, then you'll hinder your style. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but styles that are super greasy, they actually look older faster. So there's a little bit of info. So next you're going to part out for your anchor braids. Your anchor braids are called that because those are the braids that are going to hold your net in place. This is a sew-in that we're going to include net. So this is just FYI. And you don't braid this way if you're not doing net, but I get to braid this way because I am using a net. So I use a tiny bit of braiding hair, and I start to braid that hair going down and across the back of the nape of her neck. So when you get to the very end, you don't have to braid it to the tippy tip, because that braid is going to be incorporated into the next braid. So I parted the hair the same way on the other side, and I have now 2 braids going across the back of the neck. So here comes the fun part. You're following the path of the leave out. You're going to part another small section that you're going to braid, and you're going to go straight down, section that hair off, and then you're going to grab your crochet hook. You're going to crochet into the braid, the beginning of the braid that you already created. You're going to get a tiny piece of braiding hair and pull that straight on through. Boom. You don't want to create a loop. You just want it to go straight through, just like that, right? Leave it open. And then start your braid from there. So you're going to do a couple of rotations before you start grabbing up hair. But it makes for such a beautiful anchor and such a nice flat braid. Have you ever had sew-ins or seen sew-ins where right at that corner where it curves, it's like humpy for the client, and they're like, well, I may as well have gotten a quick weave because this is not flat. Who wants a not flat sew-in, especially in the front of their head? So yeah, this is just such a beautiful technique. One of my friends taught me, or showed me, I should say, and I have been doing it ever since, and I love it. So you're going to do the same thing on the other side, crochet that little piece of hair in. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I was from the old school, raised old school, okay? And we like a little height in our head, in the top of our head. So this method here is not going to create a ton of height. We call it height. I heard people say height, but I call it height, like Height. But it's not going to create a ton of height, but it's going to give a little boop. So what you want to do is you want to cross over that braid. So you're braiding that next anchor, and instead of going straight down next to the other braid, you're going to cross it over. And that's just going to create a nice little boop for you. Just a little something for my old school ladies who like that little height in the top of their head. You know what I'm saying? The braid that you had before, you want to add it to that braid, because there will be no braids left behind. Hallelujah. So at this point, you should only have 2 hanging braids, that one from the bottom and then that one from your middle anchor. Your anchor is complete. You have a solid foundation for a beautiful and flat sew-in. Look at the little boop. You see the little hump? Boop. Oh, but yep, you are all set and ready to go. Look at that. And when that track turns that corner there, super flat. Let's go. Now, here's where we get a little controversial, because these braids in the middle, they don't have to be super intricate and super tiny and deep and detailed. No hair added, because you want that start off point to be flat. And also, it's okay if you drag that braid a little bit. It doesn't have to be like tight at the very start. It can be a little loose, and not loose, but like, you don't have to like just put all of your muscle strength into a super tight braid. And you know what I found? This makes for a better sew-in for my clients. It's more comfortable. It doesn't hurt. The whole head is not super tight for a long period. And you notice here too, I'm not braiding super tiny either. They're medium size braids, no hair added. Don't add hair. Hair will make it humpy. You don't want any humps. You just want to braid their natural hair going straight back. And as I said before, this is for people who are getting a net on. So I know that you guys notice I spray a little something before I start braiding. That's just water. My mother taught me to do a little mist of water. If the client's hair is super dry, have you ever had your hands hurt while you're braiding? Well, this gives it just a slight grip, and it's not enough water. You're not wetting it down, so it's not like it's going to mildew on the hair. It's just a little dampness to give you that grip, and it works. It does work. My daughter recently braided my hair for a sew-in, and she's like, "Mama, my hands hurt." And I said, "Girl, spray some water on this hair. Come on." And she's like, "Wow, it actually works. It makes your job a whole lot easier." So that's just a little tip for you. Okay, so let's continue on with the flattest sew-in around. Notice how I didn't just go from that middle piece and continue braiding until I got to the left side. I actually started from the left, and I'm bringing myself in. You want to always work from the outside in. So the reason being is because the last braid always gathers the most hair, and you don't want that to be on the outside near the face. You know, you want all of that near the face to be nice and flat. And for a person who doesn't have a large occipital bone, this will help create, if we bring everything into the center, it will help create them a little natural occipital bone there. If you don't know what that is, just go ahead and look it up. It's just that little natural hump that our head has. And some people have it, some people don't. Some people's are huge, and some people just don't have it and it's super flat. And so the up-down method right in that area will help kind of create that natural hump. And also, that's where the drop-off point is, so that if there is a gathering that happens with your braids, you don't want it above that point. You feel me? Because the hair is going to drop over and cover that. Anything that if it's humpy on the sides or on the top, you will be able to see it. But if you can get it below the occipital bone, nobody will know but you and your stylist. So that's just a little tip for you. After I finish braiding her hair, before I crochet that last braid in to the rest of the hair or anything else, I'm going to get my Cecily's Organics. Y'all can find it on my website at cecilywyatt.com. Y'all, this oil is the bomb. It's growing hair, period. Hello. All right. So I'm going to oil her scalp before I put anything away. That way I can get to all the areas of her scalp, because once I start doing this, crocheting that extra braid in, everything starts to tighten up and close in, and then I won't be able to get to her scalp as easy. I'm going to crochet that last braid in with the rest of the hair until the very tip. Just get every single little bit of that hair crocheted in. This is an extra step that you don't have to do, but I choose to do because I don't braid that middle hair super tight. I like to go ahead and secure it first before I put the net on with needle and thread. So I will go ahead and sew that together and make sure everything is flat before I put the net on. And I'm not pulling hard, but yeah, just enough. So now we're going in with our net, and I'm just going to clip it into place and show you a little technique I learned from my big sister. You want to get you a hairpin, a long one, not a short one, okay? Long one if you can, short one will work as well. But you can go ahead and just pin that hair, pin the net in. You don't push the hairpin all the way in. You just get it flush with the skin, and it just secures that net in place while you're sewing it around. And then as you go around, you'll remove the hairpins as you pass that area. So I'm going to begin sewing right here at the apex, right here at the top, where that little boop is. And I'm going to just go straight around to secure the net. And then as I go, I'll remove those hairpins. So the reason behind why I don't do super intricate braids in the middle is I have a reason. So because I used to do them super tiny and follow through, and I mean, man, it was heck to try to take down, and it was also just, a lot on the client. But the reason I don't do that anymore is because of what I experienced with one client. She lived in Wisconsin, and she would fly into Dallas and come get her hair done every couple of months. So she couldn't make it to me one time and had to go to somebody in Wisconsin. And the girl who did her hair, when I took it down, when she finally made it back to me and I was taking her hair down, I was surprised. She had worn this sew-in for 2 full months. And when I took it down, the girl had done anchor braids. She did like 1 braid around the perimeter. And then the inside, she wrapped it like a wrap. Like, you know how you get a wet set back in the day and then they would wrap your hair and sit you under the dryer? She literally put some foam on her hair, wrapped it, dried it under the dryer, and then put a net around that and continued on. I was so shocked, y'all. I was like, when I took it down, I thought maybe all that hair was coming through the holes. It would have messed up. It did not. It was still intact. The wrap was still intact. And I said, you know what? I'm over here like, trying to get all these intricate braids done. My sew-ins are, they're taking longer to do. And I could, as long as the anchor braid is what it is, I would definitely not just wrap somebody's hair and send them out. But I realized I don't have to do these super tiny braids all around on the inside and the outside. If the perimeter is right, the hairstyle will be right. And let me tell you something that will preach. You hear me? Because listen, it's not all the time that we always have it all together. But when you're anchored right, God actually preserves you. Come on, somebody. Let me tell you something. That girl had her anchor was right. So the inside of her hair, though it wasn't braided down, it was preserved. She didn't lose any hair, and her hair wasn't matted. I was scared. I'm like, it's going to be matted. No, it was intact. Do you hear me? So I just, anchor yourself in the Father, because listen, we don't always all have good days. Some days, some weeks, some months, we are like, this, I don't know about this, Lord. But I want to encourage you, anchor yourself in the Father. He will preserve you. Come on, somebody. Amen. Okay, so look at that side profile. I mean, it's flush. You hear me? It is, listen, flat. Come on. Flat. Come on, flat. Yes. So this is the part 1. Oh, and also you can see how flat those inner braids are that I didn't add hair to. You see how flat that is? It makes sense now, doesn't it? It makes sense. It makes sense, y'all. Let's go. So this is her after. I'm going to be coming with another video on how I sewed it in and styled it and cut it and all that fun stuff. So y'all stay tuned next week for part 2. Love you guys. God bless. Bye.